Peace and blessings, family. I'm your brother in the struggle, Ali. And today we're going to decipher and decipher understanding nature. The recent shooting that took place in Buffalo, New York, where 10 black people were shot and 2 white people were shot, we need to understand something about the nature of the universe and universal law. Everything has cause and effect, actions and reactions. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we need to understand the nature of God and the nature of the devil. God and the devil are not two supernatural beings. God and the devil are not two separate or individual or distinct forces. God and the devil are actually different vibrations of the same universal order of things. If we go to the smallest part of our universe, I'm talking, like the quarks, the photons, like the baby atoms. If you take an atom and crack open that atom, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, and Al Sayers arrived in 1974, on how came the universe into existence. He said, look at these little atoms. You see that on oblong. He said, you crack them open, they like an egg. You crack it open, and then there is what? Baby atoms. Well, you take one of them baby atoms and you crack them open, what's in there? More baby atoms. And it goes on and on and on, all right? So we look at it as though God has no beginning nor ending. Our ever-expanding universe has a cause and effect. Now, I mean, there is a beginning and there is an ending. But the beginning is the ending, and the ending is the beginning. Hot is cold, and cold is hot. What we mean by that is that if you go in your bathroom or you go in your kitchen sink and you turn on your water, now I mean, say you're going to take a shower and you turn on the cold water, then you want to turn on the hot water. Did you turn on a different water? Or did you turn the knob that has one water tank in the basement of your house? Did you turn on hot water over here and then go over here and turn on cold water over there? No, what you're doing is you're turning on the water, and that water can vibrate real slow and it'll turn cold. If it vibrates really, 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 really slow, it turns into ice. If it vibrates faster and faster and faster, it gets hot. If it vibrates really, really, really fast, it turns into a steam and disappears, and H2O or hydrogen and oxygen, it'll start the cycle all over again. So hot water is cold water, and cold water is hot water. So black people being the dominant gene inside your DNA, as they call it, inside your genetic code, there are 16 different shades of color. 4 shades of black, 4 shades of brown, 4 shades of yellow, 4 shades of red, and you also have what's called an albino gene in you. You as a black woman or a black man or a dark-skinned person or a brown-skinned person or a African or an Arab or a Chinese or an Indian or Aboriginal Australian or what have you, you have the ability to produce a white baby. That baby is not from outer space. It's not an alien baby. It's not a magical or mythical creature that came from somewhere beyond our universe. No, that is the essence of you. It's on the opposite pole of your genetic code. So you have dominant and recessive genes. The recessive gene can produce that albino. And if you was to take and let the nature of the universe operate, you'll see that the Asian, the world citizen, can produce the Caucasian or the dead Asian or the weaker gene or the dead part of the world. You can produce a Caucasian gene. Now, you can't look at hatred as though hatred is a science, that hatred is something that a mother can teach its child not to do. The nature of someone, the nature of something will invariably remain the same. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the nature of a lion is to be a lion. But if you put a lion in bondage in captivity and slavery, and you raise it up in a zoo or in a circus or in a carnival, and you separate the male lion from the female lion, and you take the little baby cub lion that was born a lion but now thinks it's a pussycat, you'll see that that lion will become so other than itself that it will allow the white man to come inside the cage, take the lion out the black cage, and put it in the center of the circus, and it'll take a black whip like a slave master and whip the lion. Get over there. And the lion will jump up on what? A black stool. And the white man could take that lion and open up his mouth and put his head inside the lion mouth and say, da-da! And you'll see all the crowd just roaring and clapping like Spartacus, like a football game or the Sixers basketball game or a baseball game or Mike Tyson boxing in the ring. It's for sport and entertainment because the slave master know that its victim does not know who he or she is. But those that know the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of themselves, he can't do that with them. Meaning this same man with this whip, if you took him to Africa, if you took him in a circus where one of them lions ain't been brainwashed yet, if you put him in the midst of a lion that knows itself, he will not try to whip that type of lion. He may get his black gun because he's going to need it. So when you see, these fanatical extremists, so full of hatred, they not really hating the black people. You gotta understand, they really jealous, they envious, they are afraid. That's why they come to the hood to shoot you up. They understand the polarity that's taking place in America and around the world right now. They losing power. So that's frightening to a lot of white people. Now, all white people, I would say most white people don't hate black people. They're not gonna come to the hood, shoot no gun. You got white people that'll get their guns to come stand next to you to help defend you from white supremacists. And you got black people that look just like me and you that come to your hood to kill me and you. So we gotta understand the universal order of things, if you will. It's a thing where, wolves, you have the alpha wolf, they fight each other, they kill each other. Because only the strong survive. The first law of nature is self-preservation. So we have a deep and unique world that we're living in right now. But one of the things that we have to realize is that we're not going to be successful until we get the knowledge of ourselves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings give you that knowledge. It gives you that wisdom. It gives you that understanding. Now, that knowledge and that wisdom and understanding does not work without operational unity. And this is why the Nation of Islam right now is not in the position of dominance and strength as it was in the 1960s. It's like hip hop. It's not that hip hop doesn't work. Of course hip hop works. But the golden age of hip hop was when the conscious music was coming out. I'm not going to necessarily say the positive music and that we listen to negative music. No, it's just music. But there's conscious music and unconscious music. You can have negative music that is positive. Little Kim, when she came out, she was real provocative. Biggie was trying to make her like a black Marilyn Monroe. She talking profanity, showing her boobs, her behind. She talking that sex talk, that gangster stuff. But what Little Kim was doing and did is revolutionary. She was liberating or freeing women's minds. Men that was talking that talk for years, women are starting to get dominant and strong. You have Public Enemy, Wu-Tang Clan, Brand Nubian, X-Clan. You have all these different artists, Lakim Shabazz, Rakim. It's just so many, I can't even name them all. But we had a beautiful, strong message going around the world. And of course, the polar opposite the ones with the money, the 10%, the rich slave makers of the poor, they was like, oh, we got to shut this down. Now, I mean, they would rather lose millions and billions of dollars than to see you woke. I mean, so what they did was they took and brought out all these artists just wanting to rap about the money and the cars and the girls, and you know what I mean, and that stuff sells because that's part of human nature too. We are material beings living in a material universe. We like having nice things. You know what I mean, as a man, it's like you love beautiful women. Now I mean, nice cars, nice jewelry. Now I mean, a beautiful home, what have you. Now I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you're supposed to be conscious and allocate a portion of your wealth for the needy. Now I mean, so my thing is like, I feed the birds. I mean, if we had some cherries yesterday. We took the pits. We don't throw out pits in the trash. We take the pits. I go outside and throw them out for the birds to get those pits. If some of the cherries got a bad mark on it, something like that, we throw it out for the birds. They'll enjoy that. Know what I mean? We'll take some food out for the hungry. Know what I mean? We'll feed the hungry. We'll give some money to the brothers and sisters in the penitentiary. Know what I mean? You don't give them your house, but you try to share. Know what I mean? The Bible teaches you give your tithes 10% off every dollar. Know what I mean? Or 2.5 cents or 3 cents off every dollar, according to the Quran, 2.5%, what have you. Know what I mean? So charity is for the poor and the needy and the wayfarer, the prisoners of war, for the strangers. Know what I mean? Family and friends. But charity begins at home, and charity is love, real charity. Know what I mean? So you have to love the struggle. You have to give all that you have and do all in your power, as the messenger said in Lost Found Mountain, that's number 2, to see this day for which you have waited. Know what I mean? And we have to be conscious that the scientists asked us through Lost Found Mountain, lesson number 2, known as the 1 of 40, and can you reform the devil? No. Like, is you crazy? All the prophets that tried to reform him and were unable. Prophet Muhammad couldn't reform the devil. He tried. Know what I mean? You can't make something other than what it is. You can teach it characteristics that changes its behavior, its thought process, its sense of how to move and coexist. But a bloodsucker is a bloodsucker. I mean, a 10% is a 10%. That don't mean they can't be transformed. That don't mean that they're not necessary. Know what I mean? Because certain things in the universal order of things, you can't have peace without war. You can't have a positive atom or a proton unless you got something outside that proton that's negative, known as the electron. The electron is 2,000 times heavier than that light proton. Now, protons and neutrons are positive forces and neutral forces. They can coexist. The proton is the 5%, the poor righteous teachers, who do not believe in the teachings of the 10%. And they are all wise and know who the true and living God is. Now, the neutrons are the 85%. That's the masses. Now, I mean, they are the ones that are mentally dead, who worship that which they know not what. But the 10% that exists outside that cipher, outside that electronic force, is known as the rich, the slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies. Now, I mean, that 10% and that 5%, whenever they come together and clash, there's an explosion in and outside the atom, and it returns right back to antimatter. This is the universal order of things. Now, I mean, so if you really, really, really want to see the racists stop coming in and, shooting up the schools, blowing up the churches, gunning people down in the streets and things of that nature there, you have to have a system of checks and balances. Now, I mean, you see how our people came together for the Million Man March? I guarantee you, if you had the hoods, if somebody took and called the brothers from L.A., now, I mean, from New York, from Philadelphia, from New Jersey, from Atlanta, I mean, what have you, and there's like, we having a armed Million Man March in Buffalo, New York. The racists be like, what? The media be like, oh my God, they going down there with guns, and they just came down there, not for violence, because they're not a violent people. They came down there because the first law of nature is self-preservation. They came down there not to be the aggressor, but they came down there for self-defense. And they came down there not to march. I don't believe in marching. The messenger told us, he said, I'm not going to Washington with my hat in my hand begging white people for nothing. I mean, but if they came forward to protect their own, now I mean, if Gail on CBS and her homegirl Oprah Winfrey and Jay-Z and I mean, all these rich, powerful people that we already have, LeBron James and, you know what I mean, we got 50 Cent, people that I respect all over America. We got people that's in different trades, above ground and underground. If they like, listen, we already got the money. I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to buy some land. Now, I mean, we're going to put a wall around our land. We're going to allocate a budget and say, okay, this part is not for that Pentagon. This is for the Black Pentagon. Y'all use this. This is for the arms to protect our land, to protect our women and children. This here is for the Jeeps, the fatigues, the training. Now, I mean, we ain't talking nothing illegal. I mean, this is what we're doing in the universal order things that's legal to us. We're protecting our own. Now, I mean, we know when we built Black Wall Street, how they do that all around the place. They just come in and burn it down and burn us out and run us down and gun us down. Now, I mean, so the first law of nature is self-preservation. Now, I mean, we growing our own food. We making our own clothes. Now, I mean, we making our own TV stations, our own social media. We producing and doing for self. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. Real nation building is about. Now, I mean, it's not about going to church, it's like, listen, the racists come inside Muhammad's mosque. The racists come inside the Jewish synagogue. The racists come inside. They already came in the Nation Islam temples. They already murdered FOIs. I mean, they already came inside the church. They already came inside the Catholic Church. They already came inside the Black Panther Party. So we can't be like, oh, that would never happen. It already happened. I mean, this is the world we live in. And you have sincere parents that are not racist. I'm talking about white people. They're not racist, and they try to teach their children to be more civil, to be more respectful and coexist, if you will. But the nature can't be retort. You can't change the nature of someone or something, meaning that a mother snake can't be asked by a rabbit, won't you teach your baby snakes to love frogs? The snake is like, I love frogs, but it's something in me. I just don't, now I mean, it's something in me that I just want to swallow one of them frogs. I mean, you know, because it's born a snake, but there's all kinds of snakes. There's garden snakes that don't have poison. There's snakes, garden snakes that eat the rats. Now, I mean, they help the garden. I mean, there's boa constrictors that put their knee on your neck. Now, I mean, there's boa constrictors that'll wrap around your neck and they'll suffocate the life out of you. You can't breathe. Now, I mean, there's snakes like rattlesnakes, like Ku Klux Klan members, that if they deep in the grass, you'll hear them rattle. I'll kill them niggers, get them, get them, get them, get them. You know what I mean? It's like, he's deadly, but I'm sure glad he over there rattling and running his mouth, because there's other snakes like this little 18-year-old young boy that just come to Buffalo that, you know what I mean, he's like a king snake. They look so normal, so pretty, different colors, but he's real poisonous. It's real deadly. Know what I mean? And you have to be careful when you out there in the grass dealing with all these snakes, because Muhammad learned that he could not reform the devil. Peace and blessings, family. I'm your brother in the struggle. I'll leave. The struggle continues.